All right, baby. It is WSME Enlightenment Radio. Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're checking out Strike a Match with Terry Finnegan Lynch. And without further ado, here she is. Terry Finnegan Lynch, Strike a Match. Here we go.
Thank you, great Doc P. It's wonderful to be here. I am Terry Finnegan Lynch. I love my beat. That's Carlton's original music because I live on a railroad track and the whistle blows like 4 or 5 times a day. And I swear I was a hobo in a former lifetime. So when Doc chose this music, I was like, yeah, that really resonates with me. I know it's something else than what I think it is, but I love that it sounds like a train. So Strike a Match, welcome. Thank you for being here today and tuning in. The reason that this podcast is so meaningful is that it asks for action. Strike a Match is about, taking that actual physical step to finding what you want in your life. And so there it is, where's the flame in your life? It's a flicker. We all have at least a flicker. And what we want to do in coaching is invite you to ask for more. And so this podcast is about combining the need to ask for what you want and take action to finding it. And then also introducing you to other coaches that I know that have different intentions and purpose and markets, and show you who all these people are. So first things first is thank you for being here and considering taking action with coaching. So my backstory, how did I get here? It's basically because I kept asking what I wanted next. And for a very, very long time, I didn't ask at all. And I ended up with a very poor system of living. And so learning how to ask for what you want is the hardest thing to initiate, and having an accountability person in your life to help you do that is what coaching is about. So for a very, very long time, I had a system of victim hero. I loved it. I loved it as a kid. I was rescuing the kids from the creek and from the playground and from bullies. Loved rescuing. And then to balance that, I also had to be a victim. And so I'm a child of an alcoholic and I get poor grades. And so all kinds of victim things going on. And we carry that into our adult life. And in my adult life, I was a chronic alcoholic and I raised my children in a violent home. And I stayed, So my backstory is that at one point, someone said, this is unacceptable. You've got to do something about it. And they were actually doing something for themselves in that declaration. So what we really want to know is, when have you had enough with what you have? If the story is a loop about, this is what I do and how I do it, then it doesn't allow for more creativity, even when that feels good. So for example, if I, end of day, breathe a sigh of relief that's over, I did it, I got it done, there's something missing. There is an unmet need underneath it you deserve to understand. So how I became a coach was I went back to school again at 58 years old. And I found a school that was hand in glove to my life experience of going from a chronic alcoholic and living in a domestically violent home in 2002 to having a purely safe home, a life of enlightenment, and the opportunity to share that with you. How am I trained? Transformational coaching is about habits. Like we get this neural net in our head about how we do things and we just keep doing it over and over again. And my coaching model interrupts that in a very gentle way. And I love that it does that. I had 2 clients this weekend and they both said the same thing in totally different ways. I've never known how. I know what I want. I know what I need to do, but I don't know how. And I love that coaching gives us that leg up to do something that actually is building upon the previous time that we did something. And then in the end, it's sustainable and you own it. So a couple of years ago, I had this story in my head, my story. And I actually called it a direct dial. It was in honor of my mom. I was so pissed at her for so long. And then one day I said to her, what's up, Mom? What do you have, a direct dial to God? And she goes, yeah, you want the number? So this story was in my head for a long time about my mom and my journey. But it's now published in a collaborative book called Hope is for Always. And my story is called My Classroom of Hope. Now, the book's available on Amazon Prime, but if you would like a signed copy from me, you can email me and we'll talk and I'll send it to you. But that's Terry Finnegan Lynch at gmail.com. So why is My Classroom of Hope so important? Because the story, the trauma is real and the growth from it is real. So we can spend an awful long time blaming others for what has happened to us. And I invite people to understand that it's happened for us. This tragic story of violent home, each experience brought me to another place where I became a higher version of me. So what is this higher version of me about? Well, I became a nurse at 52, went back to school, Northeastern University, go Huskies. But then I got very discouraged with Western medicine because no one was getting better. Everybody was still 300 pounds and everybody was still in their story and chronically unhappy. And so I asked for what I wanted and I came into coaching and I started out in a medical model and I realized that's really not what I care about. And what I care about is families, your family. We are in a whole new world, thank you, COVID, good or bad, to reassess who we are as a family and what's going on inside of it. And this is really, I think, pivotal to our world and our current generation and our future generations is, who are we? What stories are we carrying with us? What loop am I always in that I access because it's a habit, but I need to up level. And, it's really easy to find the kid that's the problem child and say, hey, everybody, let's get help for this kid. And I invite you to say, well, what about me? How is this affecting me? What am I losing? What am I doing to contribute to the trouble? And so a creative family coaching practice is about all of you. It's about asking each individual to step up, but then as a family unit, have it all happening at the same time with each of those individuals. So we get a personal growth experience and a family growth experience because everybody's working at the same time in the same model of habit change to become the better version of them. So I love that part of my journey. I was pretty tough as a mom, drunken mom. Forgiveness was a big reason why I can actually say that with a smile. And so I want to acknowledge that whatever your story, there's hope. And so if you'd like a copy of my book, let me know. So the next part of what we're going to do, I call Fan the Flame. And it's fun facts about coaching. I can tell you all the wonderful reasons that coaching is great, but what is the background to it? So HuffPost is a digital magazine, and this gentleman, Tom Casano, is involved in the health coach world, and he wrote an article. So I am taking from his article a fun fact. So last week we talked about how coaches are right there. It's not a sterile environment. It's really about us being right there for you. So this time, this fun fact is true, especially in my practice. Coaches mirror your inner self. One of the life coach's most important jobs is to ask questions about ourselves and what we want in our lives. So then the coach and the client create and reflect back accurate depictions of yourself based on the answers that you've find out in asking the questions about where you've been and where you want to go next. So this is what I believe, this is what I experience, but it's also, out there on for you to verify that, what is a coach and what does a coach really do? And how do I know that I would like to have a coach? I have a coach. I don't know what I would do without her, truthfully. We can only go as far as we're willing to go, right? And I want that coach to pull me along. So the fun fact about coaching is there's a story. It belongs to you. It may come from your family of origins influence, but it's also that you have written a story to survive. Remember I said mine was hero victim. So when we have a system that needs to be like heard, not judged, that's where a coach steps in and really holds space for the story that you have and the invite to go where I want to go. And I don't know what she looks like. I don't know what he looks like. So coaching creates the space where you go over here and you say, who do I want to be? What does she look like? What's he doing? Who's he hanging out with? What is he listening to? And we create that design of who you are going to be. And that's an important part of the coaching model. We actually help you mirror back what you're saying for it to be true. So working with a client this morning, and she was expressing how, she gets this sigh of relief when, the staff is all done and everything's all settled and I've got my Windex and I'm cleaning the windows. But that's a self that she created a long time ago. We want to create the new version to aspire to. And that's what I love. So that's a fun fact. We help you define your story and find out where you're going to go next. Then so we fan the flame. Now we're going to build a fire. And what's cool about building the fire is I have some PSAs, public service announcements, on this wonderful radio channel, SM Enlightenment Radio. And this one is about mistakes. Listen in.
Positive tips for a better life with Terry Finnegan Lynch.
Consider the difference between owning a mistake and blaming someone else for it. When I own a mistake, it's mine to change. But when I blame someone else for it, I stay stuck in the experience. So consider both. And if you own a mistake, then you can grow from it. I'm a health and life coach, and these are Terry's positive tips for a better life.
WSME.
Hello, welcome back. So mistakes, we find them in every day. And what I've come to learn in this process is that if I keep making a mistake that's similar, I haven't learned what I need to know about it. And so it's really a gift when you get to say, God, I'm late again. Oh, I'm late again. Oh, I'm late again. And then we blame it on, the dog ate my homework, or the car engine didn't start, or, my grandmother needed me. But a mistake really is the invitation to look and see, what am I doing here? So if I'm forgetting my keys, is my mind somewhere else? So the separation between I'm going to blame my mistake on something else, even circumstance, and not own the mistake myself. I will continue to repeat it until it's done. So I used to say that I felt that I was hostage in traffic. There's not much traffic anymore with COVID. I want to be on time. I want to be on time. And a friend of mine pointed out, he says, yeah, I know you show up and you're on time, but you drive like a maniac to get here. So I was so consumed by making sure that I was on time that I was creating all these mistakes prior to being on time. And literally, I'm the person you're swearing at the highway, by the way. So that mistake of looking at, I'm doing what I want to do, I'm on time, I'm being reckless to get there. That's my hero role. And I want to look into that and see, I'm blaming traffic. I'm just not leaving early enough. So what this young man was pointing out to me is, if you really cared about being on time, you would allow more time. And I'm like, I hate when other people are right. But as soon as I began to own that I'm not late because of these things, the phone ringing, I'm really late because I don't care enough to be on time safely. So I blame it on these other things so that I can be heroic with that. So the important part of being honest and open with yourself is the beautiful opportunity to own your mistake, not with judgment. I know the word mistake is actually got some built-in judgment with it. But if you break it down, it's mistake. So I wanted to take this, but I misstepped and I didn't. And so I end up in the mistake. So when we build a fire, we strike a match, we fan the flame, we build a fire. Building the fire is about awareness. Light me up and show me what I cannot see. In the coaching model, as we sit together, whether it be Zoom or in person, you get to see the me, the you and me and you. That's why we actually connect as a coach and a client, is that there's this comfort in the middle ground that we share to find out what we're going to do next. So building a fire is saying, okay, my family needs help. I need help. I'm going to take an action step. I'm going to strike a match and go forward with something different. And that's where we get to really be strong. You know what I love about being able to change is when I was a young mother, my kids would say, Mom, you don't laugh enough. You don't have enough fun in your life. And like, really? I was so serious all the time. And I value that today. And so when I was creating this podcast, I'm like, I'm going to do a comedy corner, Coach's Comedy Corner. And I'm going to find my own cartoons. So I designed this one this week. So here you go. You can succeed. You are a pelican, not a pelicant. Well, that's what all the coaches say. So what's humor do? Well, it can be a system that actually is not serving you well. But it is a place where we actually exhale and inhale. When we laugh, there goes the air. Then we need to breathe. So laughter is about that exchange of old and new. And, the old thought is, if insurance doesn't cover it, I can't afford it. Or, I've been with my therapist for years and years and years. I don't understand this coaching thing. There's lots of reasons, lots of no's as to how we might come into a new experience. So the pelicans here sitting on the bow of a boat are coaching client. And, if you'll see, they're both on the railing. They're both out there over the water. And yeah, they're birds, but wouldn't it be funny if they were not? They were just human beings out on the ledge together, right? So what filters in and out of coaching sessions is humor. It's laughter. It's looking at myself and being able to say without judgment, yeah, I was not being a good person or whatever. And you can do this. So I had a client on yesterday, and she kept saying, I can't. And we stayed in that space of I can't for a good 5 or 6 minutes. And then I said, okay, maybe later. So I can't and I can intermingle in coaching, because we're not going to take you where you're not ready to go, but I will find ways to show you how to be ready. So I hope you enjoyed my little pelican joke. Yes, you can, especially with a coach, and advocacy is everything. And I will believe in you until you can believe in yourself. So that's the relationship, the rapport of a coach and a client. And so what's coming next is our commercial break. Please enjoy the information. It's all positive. It's about giving and helping each other. And then we're going to come back with my co-host guest, Frank Yu. I'm not going to try his last name. I practiced it a bunch, but I couldn't. So there he is. Wonderful man, very enlightened, and really super smart, and has a lot to offer. So we'll be back after the break. Hi again. Last week I mentioned, and I probably will in every episode, the very, very special piece of coaching, which is the rapport. Do I believe in you, and do you believe in me? And would we do well together in a conversation about change? So rapport is really important, and actually that ingredient that matters so much when you make a special recipe. The glass jar of spaghetti sauce is not as wonderful as grandma's home recipe, because grandma's there. And that is how you make a beautiful meal. As you have more than just the jar, right? So rapport is really what you're looking for when you're thinking about coaching and talking with a coach. Talk to a bunch. You'll find the one that really holds space for you. So welcome to the show, Frank. I'm so happy to have you here. Tell me about California. What's going on out there?
Hey, everybody. Frank Udvarhelli here. I know it's a lot of syllables, so Frank is fine, everybody. California is doing awesome. I mean, we just finished our shelter in place, so now people are allowed to get out in public again. And obviously there's a polarization about that, but ultimately connecting with people, like you just said, that's the key thing that a lot of us have been missing. That human to human contact, that energy that we share through conversation. Yeah, it's exciting to be out. And so thank you for having me on here today. As you can tell, I'm just like that jar that just opened up, ready to hang out. So
so nice. So what is a little bit of background about your practice, how you serve your coaching community, how you got there, and where you'd like
awesome.
to go.
Yeah, Terry, thank you. So it started with when I was in high school, actually maybe before that, but I'll talk about high school as a peer counselor. And I always was told, that it is what it is, or that's the reason why things are what they are. You can't change it, or, hope for the best, plan for the worst. But it was like, why? Why am I not able to get past the limitations? Why are people stuck in their stories? And so talking to other people my age, especially before the internet was around, you had to actually have conversations in real life. And I thought that was awesome, because you're sharing those emotions, you're sharing those feelings, those thoughts, those behaviors, but ultimately that belief structure of, I don't feel I can, like your cartoon, that I can or that I can't. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Henry Ford, by the way. Right. So ultimately, when you change that mindset, when you shift into that, no, I can do this. I have the confidence, I have the courage, I have that self-empowerment, that inner ability. maybe it's not coming from the home, maybe it's not coming from your professors, your mentors, or your friend circle. You have to seek outside counsel to get it. And a lot of us turn to, I mean, I listen to a lot of music, I watch a lot of movies, my mentors are all over stage and screen, if you will. And I've found that was an awesome way to then turn around and communicate back my story using what we now see as podcasting, but back then it was all blogs, live journals, things like that, MySpace. So getting my story out there, because I figured if I figured out how to help myself, maybe that will help somebody else in the process. So that's really my niche, is that soul seeking, that life blood. What's your personal story? What's your empowerment and how you've overcame?
That's so cool. So what I noticed in your website, and I say this a lot, enlightenment isn't really complex. Mm-hmm. What it is being able to hear the person who has the enlightenment message that connects to you. And so when I saw your website, you have this key and you wrote a blog about it. And mm-hmm. I'm using the term match. You're turning lock and key. Yep. We both will have the same soulful resource to unlock the door, swing the hinge, strike a match, because we listen, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking, but we listen. I say, I will hear what you do not say. Mm-hmm. People will be like, how did you know that? Because there's a gift, this special find that we, as almost call us seekers, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's like, how do I translate what I've been through into growth and wellness for others? So you coach entrepreneurs, yes?
Entrepreneurs, I mean, in the light of 2020, I mean, you pivot your business. Who needs the most help right now?
Right.
Entrepreneurs, especially because they don't have a lot of resources, or if they have the access to resources, the money factor, there's that barrier between, I really need XYZ, but I can't afford it. I can't come into play. And then people start, putting themselves back in that little box. So I communicate with people. I tap into what's your inner passions? What's that voice inside your head? What's in your heart? And how does it maybe relate to what you're doing? And if it doesn't relate to what you're doing, is there a way that you yourself can shift to open that flow, open that floodgate mm-hmm. of energy, so to speak? And I mean, I talking to people, ultimately, I want to get down and talk to the human being behind the company, behind the entrepreneur.
Yes.
Because if the employees are all happy, the clients are going to be happy, the business is going to be prosperous.
Definitely a triple effect. Yeah. So what I love to ask people, my coaches, is why do people say no when you're in that first conversation?
Fear, usually.
Yeah.
A lot of people have, think about it. If you went your whole life defending your story, and then your first time, maybe as an adult, you're asked a question of why you really feel a certain way, or what if you felt a different way. A lot of people they don't know how to react to it because they've never been given the skills to cope with, or to understand, or to let go of emotions. So they freeze. Right. It's a fight or flight mechanism. People just, this guy knows exactly what I'm thinking. How is that possible? I better run away from him. And that's our dance. You mentioned rapport. That's our dance as a relationship, as a coach's, the coach client, is to prove, or to display, or to whatever the client's words are for affirmations of, all right, I really feel comfortable, and the vulnerability is opened, the trust is opened, and then that connectedness starts to build. And then that's where the rapport, as we just say, that's how that rapport shines, because then it's not about, I'm not judging. I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to, badmouth. And that's where people usually come from. They've been, I don't want to say everybody, but people have been taught for so long that, your behavior's bad, so you're bad. Yeah. No. If you don't understand how to behave, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you haven't yet learned how to change, evolve, maybe modernize.
The fear that, that hard stop comes from that feeling of I'm safer here in what I know than the risk of going to where I don't know. And I signed 2 clients in January that have both been kind of nodding for 2 years. And then finally they were in their place where I do want to change. I am ready. And that's the beautiful thing about coaching is we'll be here when you're ready. If today is a no, And so do you have a testimony that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, actually. So a client of mine, I would say April last year. I mean, everybody remembers what happened. The world just got shut down. Well, a client of mine who's a DJ, actually, he plays a lot of live venues, a lot of clubs. Instantly, he's unemployed. Or what do? You switch to doing Facebook Lives, YouTube videos, things like that. But in that moment of stress, of response to the stimulus, of fear from the change that's being forced upon you, how do you react? Do you go inside, hole up, and let it crumble inside, or do you flip that match on and be like, all right, I'm going to light a torch to pave the way for my future because my skills are the same. The world around me changed. Right. And so as a coach, I come in here and I just help you match. Okay, here's those skills that you have in 2019. Now let's go to 2020, 2021 and beyond with those skills. You see that the only consistent thing is the human being within.
Right.
So my client who was a DJ, it was total pivot, go back to old school, make some CDs, make some demo tapes, put them on Facebook, put them on YouTube, continue doing what you're good at, your craft. And then ultimately you're going to bring in and absorb, hey, we're all going through this pandemic together. Here's what's happening. Sell it in your story, talk about it in your story, because then when whoever listens to that or sees that video is going to then be inspired. And case in point, I mean, I used to work a lot within my network here in the community, a little bit of my extended network. I grew up back east, so I have a circle of friends in New Jersey. I have a circle of friends in California, and that was it. But thanks to the 2020, thanks to this pandemic, I'm on with you people right now. We're in 3 different states. And I have clients in Australia, I have clients in Canada. I mean, as long as they can find your link, they can find you. Mm-hmm. And that's the taking action versus, taking passiveness. How do you describe that? You're just sitting back and letting things happen.
Well, it's interesting because today I had a client and she was telling me, how good she felt. And what I captured in that release was that was the woman she set out to be 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When she's assessing where she was 5 years ago, she has a sigh of relief. But when she thinks about where I want to go, she doesn't know what she looks like because everything is changing, right? So we sat down and we went through this exercise of honoring yeses and nos and shifting from ambiguity to today this is a yes or a no. Mm-hmm. And she wrote me afterwards and was like, this is exactly where I couldn't go without you. Like I couldn't get there on my own. There's just too much. 5 years ago, I could. We all could 5 years ago, even in 2019.
Yeah.
But then this big pause came and it froze all of us into this place. And the awakening, coming around the corner into 2021 is this greater awareness of what I'm doing and what I have isn't enough.
Yeah.
Right. And how do I go to the next place? And helping people navigate from what they had to where the next journey is going to be is important. So Liz said yes, and Adriana said yes after 2 years. Tell me why your people say yes.
My people say yes because of rapport. I mean, because through creative questioning, I mean, that's our job. We get paid to listen. We get all of our resources are built into how we communicate with other people. So when the client and the coach match up, that synchronicity builds, that harmony, that resonance, and that frequency is so aligned that people they feel yes. I don't think they say yes. They feel you understand me more than anybody else. Maybe you're hearing something that I'm saying and I don't even know why I'm saying it. You know, maybe I was never given permission to be successful. And you now, as my coach, changed my life because you just gave me permission to think outside the box or to become my best self. When, you know, my past, my abuser, my mentor who didn't understand me, you know, whatever situation it was.
Right.
And so people say yes to me who, I mean, yeah, you have the ones who say courage, you know, I don't really want to change. I like who I am, but how is that still serving you is really what my question is. And if it's not serving you, here's an opportunity to get better resources, to get new learnings, to get I would say more fluid understanding of the situation you're in so you can proact instead of just react.
Oh, it's so interesting you said that. I introduced this idea last week. I believe I started writing it, I think, the first of the year, that 2020 was a year of reacting, and 2021 is a year of creating. We didn't have an option. We had to react to every new thing that was happening. We had to react to it. But now nothing's really new anymore. You know, we got a blueprint already. So, you know, how do we create? And, you know, saying yes to it is empowerment. It, you know, it is stepping out of scarcity and into abundance. You know, and we don't.
It's that unknown. It's as you're saying, people have that fear of the unknown, and if they've, for one, I mean, if you showed somebody a mirror and they don't like what they see, the only one to blame is that person. And that's really powerful, and that's really difficult for a lot of people to fathom because, wait a minute, I'm in control of that. I can't blame, I can't reject, I can't dismiss, I can't. And so that's where people just, you know, they put their phones on and they just disappear into what it is until they find their voice. And that's what I believe. Everybody has a voice. It's just not everybody has an ear to speak to.
Yeah. Hearing what you say, you know, I went for a walk with someone and I said something and she's like, that's been my life story. How did you know? I'm meeting you for the first time. The silence, there's a silent crisis. You know, we're not asking what's my part in it, you know, what's your side of the street, and stay off of his or hers, you know. And it comes from that intention as the coach too. I mean, you obviously can say this just as well as I, but if you believe those people that you're going to speaking with are their soul, you know, their beautiful soul, their possibilities that they have, and you know, you connect as the human beings, as the universe, so to speak, created us, not what society told us we are or what our limitations tell us we are. I mean, that's why people get stuck in those cycles of pain and those cycles of bad habit, because they just haven't found a way to look at their problem from a third person, fourth person perspective. So much like when you introduce a coaching or any kind of therapeutic, you know, mindset, personal empowerment, transformational coaching, there's a different perspective that everybody has in the world. I mean, everybody's filtering, deleting, distorting, generalizing all of the information that's bombarding at us constantly based upon our learnings as a child, through relationships, every moment of the day. I mean, I'm learning stuff right now from being on this call with you. And so it's going to affect the way that I think about things in the future. Right.
And how you receive information. Do you receive it positively or negatively? I mean, again, talk about striking a match. You could strike a match and light a firework, and you know, 4th of July, you can give hope to a lot of people on 4th of July, or strike a match, something bad happens and something burns down, which again, not a suggestion, but you have a choice every moment of the day, how you accept, receive, and then turn around and proact.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're NLP trained, and I've experienced it. You know, it allowed me to become authentic with the words that I choose. And I think it's the most brilliant gift I've ever had about my insides matching my outsides, is really listening to the words that I say. And, you know, my client this morning was need. And like, yeah, you're not going to get it because you're in desperation, you're in need. And it's like, she couldn't see that without that person who loves her to be safe to hear what I don't want to listen to.
Yeah.
And which is due.
That's awesome. I just hearing that is awesome, because there's no reality beyond that which you are perceiving.
Right.
You know, all of those vibrations around you, all of those chemical energies that come from within, you know, the emotions turn to thoughts, thoughts turn to things, and then things turn back into other types of emotions. And when you pay attention to all of that stuff happening around you, you can shape whatever's coming into your view. You know, it's the classic, when you're learning how to ride a bike, don't fall, don't fall, don't fall. And what do? You fall.
Yeah.
I can do this. I can do this. I am doing this. I am doing this. And then all of those vibrations that are going out into the universe and going out into the world around you and people around you, it's strength and support in numbers. You know, it's that belongingness that creates that safety net. And then you can always get to where you want to be from here. That's, yeah.
Yeah. And appreciating and understanding where I am right now is the celebration. Like, I say to people, you're actually perfect. I believe that all of us are perfect. Even when I was a drunken mother, I was still perfect because I was doing the best I could with what I had.
Yeah.
And I want to celebrate that with you.
It's perception. Yeah.
Yeah. It's what I could do. So the quantum physics about the mind, that there's this neural net that keeps repeating itself and is a pretty complex garden now of stuff. And then we create a new thought because we are aware of how we sound and what we say. So you have contact information. Tell us about your website. And
sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm on all the social medias. It's if you look me up on www.intelligentchoicetraining.com, you'll see how to find me and everything else. My email, frank@intelligentchoicetraining.com. Phone number is 530-380-1840. And I know I don't call myself ever.
I know.
But more importantly, find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all that stuff at fudvarhelli.com. So it's just my first initial, my last name. You find my handles that way. So.
That's great. You know, I typed in, believe it or not, into Google, Frank Yu.
Yeah.
And maybe because I had some conversations with you already, but there he was.
Yeah.
So, and you said this earlier, you know, if you want me, you'll find me, right? And
I believe attraction based.
Yeah.
I mean, because that your person is opening up to receiving, and it's not my place to force anybody to do anything. I never will do that. And so if it's not a right time for you, if it's not a right time for me, there has to be that mutual respect. But as we said at the top of the call, we has to be the rapport. And you'd be amazed, you know, when you put yourself out there, you know, the universe will meet you halfway, and you go that other half.
Yeah.
That's when the magic happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a dream board, vision board. I adore it. I love creating them. I make them all the time. And it's about letting the universe know what I want, right? And if I don't say it out loud, then the universe is guessing.
Yeah. And that's a perfect thing to end this wonderful conversation with today, because we have 5 senses. So let's use all 5 of those senses.
Right. It is. It's how we anchor a greater shift. Is what do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? And what do I feel? And you know, if I put on all of that, and I become that vision of me that I truly want in all of my senses, then she's real, and she's right around the corner. So thank you so much for being here and sharing this dialogue with me about coaching and strategy and purpose. It's been wonderful to spend this time with you, Frank.
Wonderful. Pleasure is mine as well. Thanks for being part of my journey of transforming the lives of over 1 million people. Appreciate this.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. I've had a really great experience with Frank. I hope you did too. What we do in coaching is we also, at the end of a session, say, so what's your aha? What's the thing that you take away that you didn't have before today? And my takeaway today is that the positivity that we create by, getting to know who we are ourselves radiates outward in abundant ways. When we are small, when we are in fear, when we are in that quiet silence, we are vibrating at a low level and we're not reaching out in a way that welcomes more to our world. So I think my aha today is that positivity is everything. Mistakes are teachers, and think high and be the best version that you can be.